The next iPad mini might end up exposing Apple's biggest display problem yet. Because if the latest murmurs creeping out of the supply chain are accurate, Apple is finally preparing an OLED iPad mini for the very first time. But there is one glaring omission hiding in the fine print that could instantly ruin the entire experience for those of us who use our gear for more than just watching cat videos. It all comes down to the refresh rate. And honestly, for a company that prides itself on seamless user experiences, this is becoming impossible to ignore. Welcome back. Let's sit down and separate the real leaks from the noise. If you've been following the industry as long as I have, you know Apple operates on a very specific, sometimes agonizing timeline. It reminds me of the early days of broadband. You knew the blazing speed was out there, but you had to sit through a lot of dial-up tones before the telecom companies finally decided you were worthy of an upgrade. That is exactly what the iPad mini's display journey has felt like over the last few iterations. We are looking at a device that is essentially the ultimate portable powerhouse. Our generation, the professionals who travel for business, the pilots using these in the cockpit, the engineers pulling up schematics on a job site, we know the value of this form factor. It is the Goldilocks tablet. But for years, the iPad mini has had one massive weakness hiding behind its sleek aerospace-grade aluminum chassis. The performance kept improving, the Apple Pencil support got better, and the internal silicon became objectively overpowered for an 8-inch slab of glass. But every single time you start scrolling through a dense PDF, reading the morning news, or navigating complex software, the 60Hz display instantly reminds you that this is still not a truly modern flagship tablet. And once you notice that stutter, you simply cannot unsee it. Those of us who remember the Nokia 3310 era know that raw functionality used to be the only thing that mattered. But today, visual fluidity is the benchmark of a premium device. According to reliable sources, the upcoming iPad mini 8 is poised to finally ditch the aging LCD technology in favor of a gorgeous OLED panel. Now let's be clear about what that actually means in real life. The shift to OLED is not just marketing fluff. It means individual pixels emit their own light, delivering absolute true blacks. If you're reading a report on a red-eye flight or watching a movie in a dimly lit hotel room, the contrast ratio is going to be phenomenal. You won't get that grayish glow in the dark corners of the screen. We are also expecting minor tweaks to the chassis, perhaps shaving off a fraction of a millimeter in thickness, and a bump to the latest A-series or even M-series chipset to ensure Apple Intelligence runs without a hitch. The battery tech should see a modest efficiency boost thanks to that OLED panel, meaning you might finally comfortably get through a heavy day of use without eyeing the battery percentage by 4 in the afternoon. When it comes to pricing and availability rumors, we are likely looking at a slight premium over the current generation. Introducing an OLED panel isn't cheap, and knowing Apple's pricing strategy, they will probably pass that cost on to the consumer, potentially bumping the base price up by $50 to $100. If they launch this in the fall window, positioned right alongside their new Mac updates, it could be a massive seller. But again, a price increase demands a feature set that justifies the cost. If they ask us to pay more for an OLED screen but refuse to upgrade the refresh rate, that value proposition becomes incredibly tough to swallow for anyone who actually understands the hardware market. On the software front, the new chipset will undoubtedly bring full support for the latest Apple Intelligence features. Having on-device AI processing in a chassis this small is undeniably impressive. You will be able to summarize long documents on a flight, rewrite emails on the go, and use advanced tools right from the palm of your hand. But interacting with all these cutting-edge, next-generation AI features on a display that refreshes at the same speed as a monitor from 2012 creates a jarring disconnect between the software's ambition and the hardware's reality. This is where the American ingenuity of Apple's marketing department collides with frustrating hardware segmentation. The current iPad mini already feels incredibly powerful thanks to Apple Silicon, but the display refresh rate makes the device feel fundamentally older than it should. The moment you compare it to an iPhone Pro in your pocket, or frankly, a mid-range Android tablet that costs half the price, the difference becomes painfully obvious. Animations feel heavier, scrolling looks less fluid, and even basic navigation starts feeling like you're dragging your finger through molasses. It is a jarring context switch. You pick up your iPhone, flick through your emails at a buttery smooth 120 Hz, then pick up your iPad mini and suddenly feel like your eyes need a prescription check. We also cannot forget the infamous jelly scroll issue that plagued the previous generation. A faster refresh rate would practically eliminate that visual tearing once and for all. This is where things start getting frustrating, because rival tablets are already shipping with 120 Hz and even 144 Hz displays at significantly lower price points. Meanwhile, Apple still risks launching a premium compact tablet with a refresh rate that many people in our demographic now consider fundamentally outdated. And if the iPad mini 8 really arrives with a beautiful OLED screen but stays stubbornly locked at 60 Hz, it could become one of the most confusing hardware decisions Apple has made in years. It is like dropping a high-performance engine into a classic sports car but leaving the factory tires rated for a golf cart. You have all this power, all this graphical capability, and a display that simply cannot keep up with the rendering speed. What's interesting here is how Apple justifies this. The infamous ProMotion display, their marketing term for adaptive 120Hz refresh rates, has been kept strictly behind the Pro paywall. They want you to buy the 11-inch or 13-inch iPad Pro, but let's be honest with each other. We are not buying the Mini because it is cheaper, we are buying it because of the size. We want the absolute best technology available, just scaled down so we can hold it in one hand while drinking our morning coffee. By artificially limiting the Mini's screen, Apple isn't upselling us, they are just annoying us. But there is still a solution, a very smart compromise that could actually matter because it solves the problem without cannibalizing the high-end Pro sales. If Apple insists on keeping 120Hz ProMotion exclusive to the iPad Pro lineup to maintain that artificial tier, then the company absolutely needs to introduce at least a 90Hz display on the Mini. That single, seemingly minor change would completely transform the user experience without fully overlapping with the Pro models. 90Hz is the perfect, pragmatic middle ground. Scrolling instantly feels smoother and stops giving you that weird eye fatigue. Casual gaming becomes vastly more responsive. Animations look significantly cleaner, and the entire tablet suddenly feels faster without requiring the expensive, fully adaptive LTPO hardware used in ProMotion displays. And for a device designed around portability, reading, gaming, and consuming entertainment on the go, that bump to 90 frames per second matters a lot more than most people realize. There is another reason why this upgrade feels so incredibly important right now. The iPad mini has always attracted a very specific type of power user. It attracts professionals who want flagship performance in the smallest possible form factor. We do deep research before buying expensive gadgets, and we hate cheap hype. We know when we are being artificially throttled by a spreadsheet in Cupertino. And once you experience high refresh rates on your other daily drivers, going back to a 60Hz screen feels illogical and physically uncomfortable. The move to OLED could and should finally make the iPad Mini 8 feel like a premium, modern piece of technology. The deeper blacks, better contrast, and smoother visual fidelity are fantastic upgrades. But honestly, none of it will matter to the trained eye if Apple still sticks with that archaic 60Hz refresh rate. Because right now, the computing performance feels flagship, the build quality feels flagship, but the display motion still feels like a blast from the past, and not the good, nostalgic kind. It boils down to respecting the consumer. We don't need over-the-top excitement or TikTok trends. We just want hardware that matches its price tag and its internal capabilities. A 90Hz OLED iPad mini would be an absolute slam dunk, the definitive small tablet for the foreseeable future. A 60Hz OLED iPad mini, however, would just be another beautiful screen bottlenecked by stubborn corporate segmentation. So now the big question is this. Do you think Apple will finally listen to reason and give the iPad Mini 8 at least a 90Hz refresh rate, or will they cling to their beloved 60Hz standard for one more generation? What's your take on this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you appreciated this no-nonsense breakdown, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.